Hey there. I wanted to share this little snippet from a live stream that I was on a while back with Silverline Comics, where I talk a little bit about how I started working on my comic heroic shenanigans and kind of how my process for making pages has changed over the years. So Silverline, they stream multiple times a week, and sometimes I join them on their Wednesday night streams. I will put a link to their YouTube channel in the description of this video if you're interested in watching any of those streams. So Silverline, they publish a bunch of different comics, including Bear, which I illustrated, and also The Rejects and The Obsoletes, both of which I colored, and the first issues of all three of those comics are available to buy at Silverline's online store, which I will also link in the description. One last thing before we get into the clip. The guy asking the questions is Dean Zachary. He hosts the Wednesday night streams, so you'll be hearing his voice. I will put a link to his Facebook page where he posts his artwork too, so you can check out his art if you want. And alright, that's it. Let's get into the actual live stream clip.
We'll move from there into the auteur approach, which is the wearing all the hats approach. Both Aaron and Haley have done this successfully. Haley, when you first approached this, did you just step in and go, well, I want to do all of it and I know how? And was it intimidating when you first started, or were you well versed enough with the graphic technology to feel confident? And how did it come about that you wanted to wear all the hats and did so?
Um, yeah, I kind of didn't realize that people even did it another way. Because I didn't grow up reading mainstream comics or anything. I discovered
Mm-hmm.
comics through like web comics on DeviantArt and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Oh
And I
yeah, there you
always,
go.
I liked writing stories and drawing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I always thought like, oh, doing a comic, like that's way too much work. That's way too many drawings. Like I would get so tired. Um, and then I did like a couple short ones, but then it wasn't until my senior year of college that I had to do like a gallery show as my senior thesis, and I thought I want to
Awesome.
do a comic for that. And so and the professors were kind of like, okay, you can't just make a comic book, like it has to be something that can be displayed in the gallery. So what I did was like little paper cutouts of all the panels, and that was all drawn traditionally with pencils and then just inked over with pens, and I didn't color any of that, and that ended up being chapter one of my ongoing comic that I work on and do everything for. So
What grade did you
that's
get?
how I got into it. I just was like, I like drawing, I like telling stories, I like these characters that I came up with. I want to put this story out there. And yeah, and I've seen other people doing that where it was like them doing all the work. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I was like, hey, this is fun. I'll keep doing it.
How long? No, that's an awesome origin story for how you got started.
Yeah.
But tell us how long did it take you to fall into a production routine where you could calculate, okay, it's going to take me about this long to, you know, finish the page visually, about this long to letter the page, about this long to get the whole issue done. Like, how many projects before you could kind of calculate how long a page would take you?
Mm, yeah, I feel like I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I
Okay,
mean,
fair enough.
yeah, because I mostly like that same comic, the heroic shenanigans, is like I'm still working on it. And it's like my process has changed a lot. Like I do it all digitally now.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and it still is kind of, I am trying to get into more of a, okay, I'll try to set aside like 1 or 2 hours every day to work on it, because it's kind of just been like when I have time and feel like it in between day job and everything else.
Right. Right.
But yeah,
So
but I do feel like I'm getting like, it's not taking me as long to finish a
mhm,
page as it used to, but I
mhm.
still wouldn't say like, oh, okay, the penciling takes me this much time and then inking it takes this much time. Like, I don't
Do
know
you
that.
do you produce, would you say that you can get an issue done, or say a page done a week? Let's
Mhm.
say that.
I can, yeah, like definitely a page done if I really focus on it, but I'm kind of on hiatus right now from posting it online, and I have been since like November or something, or maybe even before. No, I think before
Right.
that. But yeah, but when I am updating it, like And it's different. Like webcomics have even changed because it used to be very much like a page every week, and now with stuff like webtoons, it's like a much longer episode
Hmm.
every week. So people want to read, which I'm like that too. I'd rather binge read something than read a single page
Me
every
too.
week.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but I definitely can get a page done in a week. But I kind of would like to have more done and then start posting it again, and not be like, okay, you have to wait a week for like a couple of panels.
Yeah. Well, do you write in the traditional approach to doing a comic page is we would write it, break it down in panels and then sort of thumbnail it first small and then do, maybe a larger rough and then go to finishes. Do you still generally do that or do you like just wing it and as you go you're sort of writing it in your head as you're drawing it? What's your approach?
Yeah, I'll have like a general script for a chapter at a time. Like I don't have the whole story written out yet,
Hmm.
but I like to at least have a chapter and know, okay, here's how many pages are in the chapter. So I'll write out the script, and it's not in like a official script format. It's just like I know what's like. It's mostly just the dialogue and a few notes because I'm like I don't need someone else to draw it. I know what it looks like in my head. I don't have to explain like, oh, this character's doing this on this side of the page, whatever. Um, yeah, and then I'll do thumbnail sketches from there and like plug the dialogue in there, and then like do like more pencil sketch based on the thumbnails. So yeah, basically.
Yeah. So, have you been asked, and I ask this because from our point of view that I work on a traditional board for my pencils because I want to resell the pencils a lot. Do you ever think like maybe I should do that, or is that not a thing? I mean, do you want to sell originals, or do you feel that call, or have you been asked to sell originals, or do you just feel comfortable totally going full digital with it?
Yeah, like I didn't think about it in the beginning, but now I've thought
Hmm.
about it. But the only pencil and inked pages on paper that I have are like really old. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to sell my really old art. Is it good as
Right.
the newer stuff?
I
So
know
yeah.
some people in the reason I ask is I know some people in the business who are like you. They're multi talented and skilled, and they can basically do the whole comic themselves. And I asked them that question about originals and don't you want to have some art to show and sell? What they do is they pick pages that are splash pages and or covers and they'll do those traditionally first and
Mhm.
scan them in and the rest of their pages they'll do digitally. So that may be something you consider for the future is, your splashier pages or your covers to do in the traditional way. So you'll have originals and then digitally just throwing it out there in case you want to have a show because your art is fantastic and it would be cool to have, an art show or gallery show or something like that with
Mhm.
it.
Okay, that's the end of the clip. Thanks for watching and listening. Again, all the links that I mentioned at the beginning will be in the description, as well as a link to read my comic, Heroic Shenanigans, which is what's been on the screen this whole time. Also, at the beginning, Dean mentioned Aaron. He's another comic artist. He has his own webcomic, which I believe he just recently finished the whole thing, and that's on Webtoons. So I will put a link to that too if you want to check that out, because that's a full, complete story that you can read for free if you're interested. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.